NKU goes really deep too, so in case of any kind of trouble at all tournament team.
NKU well from the field, 67%, while Oakland City has come out again shooting the ball poorly. 30.
You're gonna see go NKU. Maybe they'll go in the ball game.
Hold on for the third time. Listerman to Peratt up and in. The minor, he has to stay the night. Some more, hold on.
Moore with the one-handed stuff.
It's out of bounds. Peratt again off the window. No,
oh, beautiful.
Minor has 13 for. He will lob for Moore and got it.
I'm Tracy Purser, and welcome to NKU versus Southern Indiana, and I will be coming to you periodically throughout the game to interview some very important people here tonight, the Master of Ceremonies, Gary Burbank, and many NKU alumni, and the King and Queen. Back to you, Steve and Tom, for the starting lineups.
Forward for the Norse, the 6'6" junior from Lexington, number 40, LaRon Moore. And the center for the Trinity from the 6'8" senior from Campbellsburg, Indiana, number 33, Neil Coyle. The center for the Norse, the 6'7" senior from Lexington, number 43, Ricky Talbert. Head coach for Southern Indiana is Bruce Pearl, assisted by Rick Curtis and Keto Davis. Coaching staff for the Norse is Dave Beazle, Pat Ryan, Ryan Strand, and Dave Marshall. And the head coach of the Norse is Ken Shields. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we would like to recognize our honorary coach for this evening's game, Mrs. Alice Sparks. Mrs. Sparks is the chair of Northern Kentucky University's Board of Regents, a member of the NKU Norse Athletics Club Board of Directors, and a founding member of the Coaches Corner. Once again, we're pleased to announce our honorary coach this evening, Mrs. Alice Sparks. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise as the flags are presented this evening by the Kentucky State Police Honor Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, performing our national anthem this evening is the Dixie Heights High School Choir under the direction direction of Stacy Allen.
Welcome back to a filled Regents Hall, NKU in Southern Indiana tonight on homecoming in Highland Heights. NKU will send Cluxton, Talbert, Moore, Listerman, and Listerman out to start this thing. Southern Indiana, Gilbert, Hofstadter, Gerard, Coyle, and Taylor. You know, Tom, I think it was a year ago when these two teams met prior to the championship of the region at Riverfront Coliseum that you wrote an article about Reggie Talbert and LaRon Moore and the fact that Talbert was called Spider-Man. Stan Gerard of Southern Indiana is called Superman. There's a few other superheroes probably in the building tonight too.
Yeah, you know, one guy we're not going to see tonight again in the Southern Indiana lineup. He didn't even make the trip. A big factor in the first game, that being senior forward Scott Boyden, 6'5". Boyden in the first meeting played just 14 minutes, had 12 points, 6 of 7 shooting, also grabbed 2 rebounds in that game. Again, Scott Boyden recovering, I should say, from a sprained ankle he suffered, and he is not with the Southern Indiana team tonight. That's a big lift inside for NKU. Boyden, a fine player inside.
NKU has it as we are underway. Thanks for joining us. If you couldn't make it into the building, thanks for tuning us in. Sit back and enjoy it. It's going to be a great one. Listerman, Andy, over to Listerman, Kevin, to the bucket. No good. Rebound, Moore, stick back is good.
Excellent second effort there by LaRon Moore.
Here's Gerard off the dribble, no good. Andy Listerman with the rebound.
Very important, Steve, for NKU to get off to a good start, especially after the last time these two teams met. A 99-66 victory that virtually was really over at the halftime. Southern Indiana led by as many as 37 in that game that was played in early January in Evansville.
Gilbert with the basketball for Southern Indiana. Now it's Gerard. Hofstadter for 3, good.
Mark Hofstadter, one of the seniors on this year's team, a junior. Very experienced after last year. Of course, the only guy not around from last year's team who really played an integral part is guard Brian Hebner. Also an excellent three-point shooter, but Hofstadter can fill it up from long range.
3-2 Southern Indiana early. Talbert will be called for a double dribble. He dribbled it once and then after holding the ball, put it back on the floor.
Stan Gerard, you mentioned the nickname Superman, and he was virtually Superman in the first game. 12 of 14 for the field, 4 rebounds, 26 points, 4 assists, 3 steals by Gerard. It was one of his first games back. He missed part of the season because of an eligibility transfer rule, but he's back and he's doing what he did last year, score and play good basketball.
Coyle with a no-look behind the back pass to Chad Gilbert, who connects and picks up a foul.
Chad Gilbert, an Indiana State University transfer. Of course, Indiana State, a member of the Missouri Valley Conference, a Division I school. Great experience on this Southern Indiana team. Every one of these guys, with the exception of a couple new players this year. But everybody on the floor right now, with the exception of junior forward Scott Taylor, very experienced in the tournament run last year. Southern Indiana virtually returned its entire team from last year's national championship team.
The Eagles will press. Listerman into Cluxton. Cluxton at the free throw line, got it. You may notice the Band-Aid across Cluxton's nose. Of course, Thursday night he was hit and suffered that injury. Came back into that ball game in the second half. So he is nursing a sore schnoz, you could say.
No doubt a gutty performance in that game by Paul Cluxton, who basically had a laceration on his nose. Understand Gouard fouled as he takes the ball to the basket. That's what Gouard is really best at. Penetration, moving with the ball, getting sent to check in as another Division I transfer. Jason Dominic will replace Neil Coyle. Dominic, a 6'10" junior. He's via UNC, North Carolina, Charlotte, a Conference USA school. Really, Bruce Pearl, a former Division I assistant, has really done a great job of tapping into Division I transfers and JC transfers.
Gilbert thinks about a three, steps inside the arch and drains it. Gilbert has 5 of Southern Indiana's first 8, and the Eagles lead by 4.
And you know, Coach Ken Shields really called this team, Southern Indiana, kind of compared him to a wounded animal coming in here. You don't like to play a team coming off a loss, and Southern Indiana doesn't lose many. And of course, they lost Thursday night in Indianapolis, and now trail Indianapolis along with NKU by a half game.
Talbert from Listerman.
Excellent penetration and dish there by Kevin Listerman over to Reggie Talbert, who makes sure he was going to make that.
Moore saves it into Listerman. Got the layup.
Excellent defense, Kevin Listerman.
We're tied at 8. Gilbert inside Taylor, reverse layup.
Nice move inside by Scott Taylor. And one thing about Southern Indiana, they are a deep team. Coach Bruce Pearl will play almost everyone.
Here's Talbert, kicks it out to Cluxton for 3, too strong. Rebound, Gouard leads a 4-on-3. Behind the back, ball loose. Andy Listerman up with it. Cluxton has it now. To Talbert, down the lane, and that'll be a charge.
And you know, Steve, one of the big things NKU Coach Ken Shields has to worry about tonight is foul trouble. Any foul trouble inside to either LaRon Moore or Reggie Talbert. Both are semi-prone to picking up some fouls. And with the depth of Southern Indiana, NKU can ill afford foul trouble to its 2 people inside. That was Talbert's first foul, and Shields right away taking him out, bringing in Andre McClendon. Shannon Miner also will check in. He replaces Paul Cluxton in the Norse lineup.
In at that break for Southern Indiana, Johnny Moore and Joel Thomas. Hostetter brings it up the floor. Southern Indiana leads by 2. Thomas inside Gouard, and he is fouled by Andy Listerman.
Again, Southern Indiana really last year, and I don't know if you had a chance to see the national championship game last year, but that was one of the most, I think, incredible games I've ever seen. Southern Indiana in that game really falling behind early by more than 20 points, and it frankly looked like they were just going to be blown out, hanging tough, and in the second half, just an unbelievable comeback over Cal State. I want to say Cal State Bakersfield to win the national championship, which I don't think that's right. We'll do a little research here, and I'll tell you who they beat last year. Cal State Bakersfield has, in fact, won 2 of the last 4, but not last year. There it is, Cal Riverside. See, I'm in the right state. It's just one of those, you know, there's only...
It's a small state,
There's only
right?
400 California schools.
Right.
So I was close.
Gouard connects on both of them. 12-8. Southern Indiana by 4, 16 and a half to go. Stanza number 1 from Regents Hall. Kevin Listerman across the timeline, now Miner. Andy Listerman from 19-9. Kevin Listerman with the rebound. Out to Minor from way out. Rebound Thomas for Southern Indiana. The Eagles on the fly. Larry Eddy had the ball. He checked in at that last break. That was Coyle. Now all the way around to Johnny Moore. Eddy, now Coyle. And a rebound is loose. And it's tracked down by Southern Indiana. There's a long shot and a foul, a push underneath on Southern Indiana's Joel Thomas.
Steve, NKU coming off its most impressive three-point shooting performance of the year. The Norse hit 10 of 22 three-point attempts in Thursday's 81-79 victory over Kentucky Wesleyan. Leading the way in that game was Paul Cluxton with 5. Shannon Minor, however, hit 3 in the second half. Kind of began to find his eye again from beyond the arc. But really, maybe the two biggest three-pointers in that game were by Andy Listerman. NKU trailed at that point by 4. Listerman's 2 three-pointers gave the Norse a 2-point advantage during a 21-11 second half run. And even though Listerman right there, Andy Listerman and Shannon Minor missed their first threes attempts, I'm sure Ken Shields glad to see those two with some confidence from outside the arc.
Minor guarded tightly by Eddy. Minor.
Excellent move inside by Shannon Minor. Tempers flared a little bit. Joel Thomas of Southern Indiana was a little bit miffed after that foul was called down at the other end.
Here's a steal, Listerman to Minor to Cluxton for 3, good! Timeout. Southern Indiana takes a timeout. NKU leads by 1. It is a 20-second timeout.
Gonna head over to Tracy Person.
I'm here with Gary Burbank, who is turning out to be an incredible game, the MC of tonight's homecoming. Gary, tell me what you think about this game.
I'm not watching the game. I've been kind of hanging around back here just talking to people. There's a game going on? Is that why people are yelling and stuff? I knew that. I kept telling them, I think there's a game going on up there. Well, you're awfully cute.
Tell me about who are your favorite players?
I like Talbert. We come in to watch. Actually, we follow the TV coverage, too. We like you a lot. There's a reason for something. And we just enjoy the whole NKU type camaraderie and fun. It's great. We have a good time here.
Thanks, Pop. Back to you.
Thanks, Gary.
Southern Indiana with the basketball, NKU with the 1-point lead as we're back at it. Larry Eddy works it over to Moore. Now Eddy has it back. And his pass picked off by Listerman. His second steal, and he is fouled from behind by Thomas. Thomas is not having a very good half.
No, not at all, and I think that's going to be all for now for Joel Thomas. Really, I'll tell you what, Steve, you look at the stats, and Kevin and Andy Listerman don't have great statistics from a scoring standpoint, but I'll tell you what, since they've been inserted into the starting lineup after the Southern Indiana loss, NKU's won 7 of 8 games, and they just do the little things.
Hold on. Moore could not get a hold of it, but McClendon follows it. The lob from out of bounds was just a little short, and Moore could not quite get the handle, but McClendon was there to follow, and Eddy is fouled.
Great idea on the out-of-bounds play set up there, as you see Chad Gilbert waiting to take the ball in bounds.
Talbert and Andy Listerman in for NKU. Hostetter and Stan Gerard in for Southern Indiana. Gilbert to inbound it, comes in underneath. Taylor can't get it, but the follow by Gilbert rather. He has 7. Southern will press. Here's Cluxton, throws it off Gerard, but it goes to Gilbert, who shoots a 3, no good. Rebound, Taylor up and in. Taylor with 4, and Southern with the 1-point lead.
And Steve, that's the thing about the Southern Indiana team. They are so athletic, so deep, so active on the floor. They can score so quick that really no lead can be considered safe against the Screaming Eagles.
Andy Listerman. Now to Minor.
You think he thought about that shot there?
Probably. He'll shoot it from anywhere. Minor dribbling. Bounce pass into Talbert. Clugston, Minor from way out. Got the bounce.
I was about to say that really the shot was altered by Scott Taylor, but a nice bounce. And a big-time steal there by Andre McClendon.
NKU leads by 2 at the 13:50 mark of the first half. 18-16 as Minor walks it through the bullseye. The crowd comes alive. Minor from way out, no. McClendon has the board, and he is fouled.
And I'll tell you what, Steve, I've seen a lot of NKU basketball games. I don't think I've ever seen a crowd this early in a game standing up, exhorting on the Norse. I mean, you know, you've seen plenty too. And this crowd, I think people here realize that it's going to take a solid effort from everybody to beat this Southern Indiana team. And right now, NKU playing very good basketball.
I have to agree with you. After 278 games, this might be the case. Here's McClendon, and he is fouled by Coyle. That'll be the first on Coyle and the 4th against Southern Indiana in the half.
I think that's a big part of this 25-game home court winning streak. You know, there was a time when, of course, they didn't always draw this well, but even when they did, sometimes, you know, people would accuse kind of NKU fans of kind of sitting on their hands maybe, but you look down underneath this basket, you see a full student section, and that's something that you rarely saw. Of course, NKU primarily a commuter school, and the students have, you know, it's taken a while to get them into the game, but now NKU, of course, ranked 15th in the country, Southern Indiana ranked 4th. But I tell you what, Steve, you know, when you look across the way and you see the entire stands on their feet waving the gold and black, of course it is homecoming, it's festive, but, and you can see so far, very inspired effort from NKU. NKU, I think, gets up for this one.
Well, we saw this kind of crowd a year ago in March when Southern Indiana was in here in the last weekend of the regular season, and we saw this kind of crowd against Kentucky Wesleyan that same weekend, and probably this game, fans remember it from a year ago and have come to see one hopefully just as good. Here's Gouard on the move. He now has 4. Of course, that ball game went right down to the wire until Reggie Talbert blocked a 3-point attempt by Chad Gilbert at one end and dunked it at the other.
Yeah, perhaps one of the most amazing plays in NKU basketball history. And if you had come to that game, I think you'd be almost crazy not to come back. Man, all Clugston. You saw it Thursday night. Clugston back at it again here tonight. NKU up 22-18.
Hostetter to Taylor, now to Hostetter. To Gouard. Inside it goes. Taylor posting up, and he is fouled by LaRon Moore. That is the 2nd on Moore.
Steve, I think you'll agree, tonight the century mark is in jeopardy. Every
No
time
question.
these two teams get together, you're always guaranteed scoring. And you mentioned before the game started that the referees look like they might suffer from fatigue before this is over. And I think you're right on the money there. I tell you what, this is a game that I would certainly, in my current state, and I'm sure you'll second this, would not choose to officiate. I mean, this is the best place.
In
for
your
us.
current state or in my current
Well,
state?
I think I can speak for both.
Okay, I would agree. Taylor, good on the first one.
You know, this is a basketball team, Southern Indiana, that last year I think really could have beaten a lot of Division I schools. When you look at the depth, and I think that's the difference. You know, you look at some of the teams, and everybody's competitive in this league, but the difference between Southern Indiana and some of the other schools is just sheer depth. I mean, very few GLVC schools can look down its bench and put everybody in the game, and everybody can be productive. Speaking of working it, Bruce Pearl, the Southern Indiana coach, he works it on the sideline.
Here's Minor to Talbert. Now Listerman down the lane, lays it up and in. Kevin Listerman has 4, and NKU leads by 5.
Nice move there by Kevin Listerman, showing the left hand on the layup.
Gilbert for 3. Too strong. Clugston, hold on. You knew it would come at some point. Timeout. Southern Indiana. NKU leads by 7. 12:02 to go in the first half. Don't go anywhere. 26-19, NKU by 7, 12:02 to go in the first half. This crowd is into it, Tom.
Man, I'm telling you, Steve, seriously, I've seen basketball games here since I was an undergrad back in
1968.
Just back in 1981. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen a first half everybody on their feet.
Southern Indiana with the ball. Hostetter. Over to Moore. Now Hostetter. Southern has a little bit of a mismatch with Gilbert on Cluxton. Here's Moore for three, good. And then a foul clearing out will be called on Gilbert. Count the bucket, but then the foul, it's actually going to be whistled against who?
It's going to be against 44, Jason Dominic.
Dominic called with his first. Thought Gilbert was going to be the one with the infraction. You can count the three, 26-22.
I'll tell you, Bruce Pearl, it's no wonder he's thin. I mean, he may work harder than his players.
Here's Minor. Minor guarded by Moore. Minor down the lane, lays it up too strong, rebound Gilbert. 4-point NKU lead. Southern on the run, and that's picked off. McClendon batted it away. Listerman threw it away. Hostetter. Taylor, good.
Just like that, Southern Indiana. That's what makes it so tough. They never seem to panic. Why should they when they've got the type of talent that they do?
Here's Cluxton.
This game can get a little heated.
It's getting a little heated. And at this pace, I'm glad to not be doing radio tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. There you got to look just a minute ago at Southern Indiana coach Bruce Pearl, and you can see him there encouraging his team to play defense.
Listerman into McClendon, and McClendon is hammered.
Hammered by Johnny Moore. And I'll tell you, Johnny Moore is an interesting story. A transfer from another Division I school, Eastern Illinois. Johnny Moore led the Mid-Continent Conference last year in three-point shooting. And those are the type of players that Southern Indiana coach Bruce Pearl has been able to attract to his program. And frankly, that's why every year he's considered a legitimate chance, having a legitimate chance to win a national championship. This year, of course, they're currently ranked 4th in the country. Of course, they'll drop after the loss to Indianapolis, but still they'll likely remain in the top 10. Once you break the top 10, it's kind of hard to drop out unless you fall in a major tailspin.
McClendon misses the first, hits the second. Both teams in the bonus for the rest of the half. 27-24 NKU. Gilbert, Hostetter now. That was Dominic. Dominic has it back. Taylor. Now Hostetter on a baseline, no good. Rebound saved in by Cluxton, and Listerman has it. Here's Moore. He dribbles it off the official's head, and the official must have been standing out of bounds.
And actually, that's an incorrect call.
The official is in play, whether he is inbounds or not, I believe.
Absolutely, that's an incorrect call right there. I don't think it's going to matter one way or the other. You're exactly correct in your evaluation there, Steve, but unfortunately for NKU, it's going to go against the Norse.
Hostetter. Across the timeline, now Gilbert. Driving toward the bucket. Rebound McClendon. Midpoint of the first half, NKU by 3.
NKU, Steve, really doing a pretty good job of limiting Southern Indiana to just one opportunity on the offensive end, and that's something they're going to have to do to win this basketball game.
Moore to the bucket.
There's a big-time play by LaRon Moore. And Steve, you're guaranteed generally about anywhere from 2 to 4 dunks a game from LaRon Moore.
Hostetter lobs to Gouard.
You can forget about that. Anytime Stan Gouard catches the ball within about 5 or 6 feet of the basket, you can almost, even before he shoots it, pretty much, you write it on your sheet there, Chief.
Here's Cluxton. He's going to the hole. No good. Gouard up to Hostetter. Down low it goes, up and in by Johnny Moore.
Johnny Moore's a guy who's been kind of sporadic, and NKU's going to take a timeout here. The Norse lead 29-28, 9:02 remaining in the first half. Just going to be a 20-second timeout actually taken by NKU coach Ken Shields, and I think it's a very smart 20-second timeout. NKU, which had a 7-point advantage at one point, you want to make sure that you don't lose your lead totally. NKU, of course, with possession and the 1-point lead. And we'll try to keep you abreast tonight with some of the other action going on around college basketball. Really no one, I mentioned earlier, really no one from Greater Cincinnati in action tonight. Ohio State is playing Michigan. We'll see if we can get you a score at some point of that. Michigan leads 25-14 at St. John Arena in Columbus with 9 minutes remaining in the first half. Michigan, a team that has very much struggled of late. Dayton also in action. They trail at St. Joe's 10-8 with 11:20 left in the first. We got it all.
You're the man.
Try to make sure we keep everybody informed.
Moore to Listerman, inside to Listerman to McClendon. McClendon scores. He now has 6. Hostetter across. Works the basketball over to Thomas, who's back in the lineup. Around the horn now. Coyle. Hostetter, shot clock at 20. Thomas to Gouard. Inside, ball free. Miners got it. Lob for Moore. Now Listerman. Kevin Listerman toward the goal. Pump, fake, shoots, got it. It should have been called a foul as well, probably.
Really looked like it.
Here's a lob to Gouard, and he lays it in at the other end.
That's just how quick. That's a great athleticism of Stan Gouard in Southern Indiana. Now they're going to get a foul and a push. And don't forget to stay tuned at halftime of this men's game. It is Homecoming 96 here at NKU. We'll be here to show you all the activities, and neither one of us will be crowned much of anything, I'm sure. Unless you know something I don't know.
No, I know very little.
Well, you said it, I did.
I know. I said it before you could.
And even 8 minutes remaining here in the first half. NKU currently 3-point advantage, 33-30, as Johnny Moore checks back in for Southern Indiana, replacing Mark Hostetter. Kevin Listerman played a very solid floor game so far for the Norse. Kevin Listerman with 6 points so far at the line, shooting the 1-1 bonus. Both teams will be in the bonus for the rest of the half because NKU's next foul will be at 7. Listerman good on the first.
He'll go back and shoot a second one and trying to extend the NKU lead to 5. Got the second one. 35-30. NKU in front. Southern Indiana with the ball. Coyle. Around the horn it goes. They had a foul, a whistle, a push away from the ball. It's going to be on Talbert.
And again, one thing that Coach Ken Shields wants to absolutely at all costs avoid is foul trouble to Reggie Talbert. That's a second foul, so to this point, really no major urgency. 7:47 left.
Moore and Talbert both with 2.
So those are the 2 guys. Want to make sure, and just to make sure, he brings Andre McClendon back in. McClendon, of course, the Holy Cross graduate, who's been a huge lift off the bench this year for NKU, picking up really where Shaft Stevenson left off last season.
Gouard misses the front end of the 1-and-1, and NKU has the ball. Moore kisses it off the glass. He has 8. NKU leads by 7. Coyle. Now around it goes to Eddie. Eddie has it back from Gouard. Coyle lost it out of bounds, and Coyle heads into the second row.
Somebody makes a catch over there. Southern Indiana looking a little sluggish on its last few offensive possessions, and NKU here with a chance to open its lead to 9, possibly 10 with a 3-pointer. So the Norse, a very solid first half game
Chad Gilbert back in at that break for Southern Indiana. Minor slowing the pace. Now Kevin Listerman. Cluxton. Kevin Listerman hands to Minor, back to Cluxton, back to Minor. Inside McClendon, now Moore, stops and pops.
Big night for LaRon Moore. He has definitely come to play. Moore now in double figures with 10.
NKU leads by 9. Here's a three-point attempt. No good. Rebound Cluxton.
Cluxton not too much liking the attempted reach around there by Johnny Moore. And I'll tell you, Steve, NKU really playing with a lot of emotion tonight, realizing the importance of this game and the opportunity really to take the GOVC race into its own hands with a victory tonight and a victory possibly Thursday when GOVC leader Indianapolis comes to Regents Hall.
Shot clock at 8. Kevin Listerman to Moore for a three. No. Rebound, Gouard. NKU leads by 9 with a smidgen over 6 until intermission. Down the lane, Eddie. No good. Rebound battle, Gouard got the stick back.
Such a great player inside. Here's a breakout.
Cluxton lost the handle, so Southern Indiana will have the ball.
And that's a situation right there where Paul Cluxton, good hustle there by Larry Eddy, but really a situation where Cluxton should have gone up a little stronger. There's a timeout. NKU 39, Southern Indiana 32.
I'm here with Nathan Smith, an outstanding NKU alumni, to see this fantastic game that's going on. Nathan, tell me how you keep yourself involved in NKU.
Well, I think when you get out of school, you got to give something back to the institution that you went to. So that's why I'm involved over at NKU, and I feel like that it's a great cause.
As far as your vice presidency of athletics, what do you do with that?
Basically what I do is do membership drives where we try to gain more members into the Gold Club, where we have more money for the athletes and maybe better uniforms or whatever they may be.
All right, thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you, Nathan Smith. Back to you, Stephen Tom.
39-32 NKU, 5:50 now, and the clock running. First half. Southern Indiana with the ball, Eddie. Top of the key. And a charge.
Excellent defensive position there by Shannon Minor. Picking up the offensive foul from Larry Eddy. That's his first foul.
Player control, no free throws. NKU will inbound the ball against a heavy Southern Indiana press. Minor had Moore running the floor, but couldn't see him. Now Listerman double team, finds McClendon to Cluxton, who has to tap it in. Cluxton for three, too strong. Rebound battle, and Gouard for Southern, and he is fouled by Cluxton. Cluxton coming over to get the ball, just got there a little late.
Yeah,
good call.
And that's the typical Cluxton breakaway. You know, very few guys will be more inclined to stop outside the three-point line and fire the three. But Paul Cluxton, when you can shoot him like he can, I'd probably think about doing the same thing.
Gouard will be at the free throw line. He is 2 for 3 at the stripe, shooting a 1-and-1. The left-hander sends it on the way, and it's good. He will have the privilege of shooting the second. Doesn't become the right until the 10th foul, you know, Tom.
That's correct. Until then, you have to earn it.
Taylor checks in for Southern Indiana, and Moore comes out.
Bruce Pearl, a little concerned about the time taking to get a sub into the game.
Gouard good on the second one.
Really, Ken Shields and Bruce Pearl, exact opposites in terms of their bench demeanor. Ken Shields more of a relax, I don't want to use the word relax, but appears relaxed. Bruce Pearl, from the time the opening tip to the end, pretty much works the sideline.
Minor cut off by Eddie. Now LaRon Moore, and a foul will be called on Gilbert.
Foul number 14, Shane Gilbert, his first.
Just the first foul on Gilbert. Moore will be at the line. Attempting to extend NKU's current 5-point advantage. 5:12 left in the first half here.
Moore
39-34, excuse me, Steve.
Moore shooting a 1-and-1, missed the front end, and the rebound is controlled by Southern. Eddie brings it up the floor. Now, Coyle inside to Gilbert, back out to Eddie. It's Taylor around to Coyle, back to Taylor. Gouard has it now. 15 on the shot clock. Gilbert for 3, good.
Chad Gilbert, excellent range for a 6'8 player. Again, Gilbert, a transfer from Indiana State. Southern Indiana now just trails by 2.
Cluxton inside of McClendon. McClendon underneath, that's a goaltend.
It almost looked like a foul as well with Andre McClendon, a great leaper. McClendon pretty much can out-jump almost anyone who guards him. McClendon, an emotional player down the other end, giving a little fist, fired up with that basket. 41-37 NKU, 4:31 remaining in the first half. And Steve, we'd probably be remiss if we didn't make a little prediction here. This one will probably go down to the wire as well.
Gilbert, Hostetter now. Guarded tightly by Minor. Taylor. Hostetter again. Shot clock at 20. Coyle. Blocked by Moore, and a foul going to be called way out here on Moore. That's going to be his 3rd.
And that's a critical foul, Steve. Of course, LaRon Moore and Reggie Talbert, the backbone of NKU's interior play, and that's the 3rd foul on Moore, and he'll have to sit probably for the remainder of the first half. Ken Shields will keep him out. No chance of picking up a 4th. Reggie Talbert, who also has 2 fouls, checks back in. If you missed our first game tonight, Southern Indiana women, a 92-82 winner over NKU, severely hindering NKU's chances of remaining in the GLVC race. Neil Coyle converting on the first one. 41-38, the current NKU lead.
That is the first point of the night for Coyle, who averages almost 12 a game. No good on the second one, but the ball is taken away by Gilbert. He was, however, called for a double dribble. 41-38, NKU by 3, 4:11 to go in the half. Listerman back to Minor. The defense clears, Minor dribbles it up the floor.
A lot of time you could say Listerman to Listerman.
Minor, guarded tightly by Gouard. Minor slips to the floor. I saw Curly Neal do that once. Here's Cluxton in the paint.
You are old.
No good, rattled out of there. Southern with the ball. What do you mean I'm old?
And Reggie Talbert nearly could have been called for a foul there on him. Looked like an over the back.
A travel call. The call was right, but it was late.
Yeah, I think the crowd made that call, and a nice, as you see there, Bruce Pearl with a nice impersonation of what happened. Bruce Pearl, I'll tell you, Steve, really a fun guy to talk to, and really a guy who loves the game and has really done a great job at Southern Indiana, transformed this program into an annual contender. 2 years ago, the Division II runner-up. Last year, the champion, national champion. And again, the active, winningest coach in all of NCAA basketball at every level.
Here's Minor, guarded by Hostetter. Shot clock down to 15. Shot clock down to 10. Minor to the bucket, off the window.
Nice drive there by Shannon Minor in the conversion.
Gilbert, and now Coyle is fouled by McClendon.
The game is getting very, very rough. Bruce Pearl's career record, just to document his record here at Southern Indiana. And again, this is gonna test my math skills, see, because this is his 4th season at USI, and currently Bruce Pearl 93-18. Pretty impressive record. If you go in the GLVC, which again has been named the #1 Division II basketball conference by Basketball Times. The record in the GLVC for Southern Indiana, 45-9 coming into this year. They're 8-2 this year. 53-11 GOVC record of Southern Indiana, and I think any coach would take that record.
Gilbert has to check out of the lineup as he has a cut above his eye. So he checks out, and Thomas checks in for Southern Indiana. Coyle checks to the free throw line, where he is 1 for 2 tonight. Good on the first. Larry Eady back in the game for Southern, and John Gibson checks in for NKU.
Gibson's first appearance of the night.
Probably trying to get Talbot through the final 3 minutes of the half without picking up his third foul.
Absolutely, a very smart move there by NKU coach Ken Shields. You want to make sure, with Moore already having 3, of course, Moore the big scorer tonight for NKU, you certainly don't want Reggie Talbot to also pick up his third. 43-40, the Norse advantage, a smidgen under 3 left in the first half here. Remember to stay tuned, homecoming 96 here at NKU. Coming up at the half.
Miner brings the ball up the floor. Between the circles, guarded there tightly. Eddie on him, now Cluxton has it. Shot clock at 20. Miner back with the ball, and he is fouled. Foul is on Eddie. That will be the second.
And really, Steve, kind of a silly foul. There's really no point to that. Only 14 seconds left on the shot clock. Shannon Miner a good 40, 45 feet away from the basket.
Hostetter back in for Southern Indiana. Miner's going to shoot a pair here.
You like that rule?
No. It was designed to keep teams supposedly from fouling, and all it does is slow down the game. Teams still foul.
Yeah,
and it slows down the game even more because you get to it in the first half.
And you know, frankly, Steve, a free throw shooting is in some ways so abysmal these days. I really think you ought to have to earn that second shot by making the first. I mean, it is free anyway.
Missed the second. Rebound controlled by Dominic, who checked in for Southern Indiana. Here's Hostetter for 3. In and out. Andy Listerman with the rebound. 2:20 to go in the half. NKU by 4. McClendon, too soft. Hostetter, bumped by McClendon.
And, you know, that's just an example right there of another silly foul. Really, you know, Andre McClendon, I think a little bit frustrated because he missed the inside shot. He doesn't miss many of those. You know, you mentioned John Gibson checking in. Gibson hasn't played much. A pretty solid road trip on NKU's last trip, split at Quincy, a victory at Quincy, a loss at Lewis. But Gibson's a guy tonight who's probably going to see some more minutes than he normally is used to, and really a guy that Ken Shields needs a solid effort from, with Moore having already picked up 3 fouls and Talbot with 2.
Hostetter will be shooting the pair here. I mean, here's the prime example. You get a little blocking foul at that end and have to walk the length of the floor, and Hostetter now is going to shoot 2 free throws, and, you know, we're still in the first half. So it's a situation where the game just is dragging on longer and longer. Yeah, not that, you know, I'm disappointed in sitting here watching this game, but.
Well, I think too, Steve. I mean, you know, they talk about, you know, maybe teams cutting down the fouls because it's still the mentality. You're still going to foul. You're still going to try to win the basketball game, whether it's 1-on-1 or 2-shot opportunity.
A 2-point NKU lead with just a little over 2 minutes to go in the half. Cluxton, Miner, shot clock at 20. Listerman, Miner again, shot clock at 12. Andy Listerman, Miner from way out. Rebound, Kevin Listerman to Andy Listerman, who lays it in.
Listerman to Listerman, there it was. Excellent hustle by Kevin Listerman, who's really played a solid floor game the first half here.
Hostetter. Down the lane, no. Dominic got it.
Sheer size, the difference there. Jason Dominic, the largest player on the court, 6'10". NKU really a small lineup out there right now. Really conceivably could be considered 4 guards, with John Gibson being the only non-guard out there. Of course, Gibson's 6'7", but you've got 3 of the 4 players under 6 feet tall.
NKU content to let the clock run some also on each possession here. Miner, Cluxton for a 3, no. Ball tapped out of there, still loose. Gerard tracks it down, throws it off the rim, and a foul called on the battle for the ball. on Gouard.
It's on Gouard. Really a fun guy to watch. You know, Gouard, Steve, the guy is so good there. He tried to whiz a pass across and it almost drilled right in the basket. I mean, that's how accurate this guy is as a shooter. Gouard, an excellent shooter from the field every year up around the GOVC leaders. Again, Stan Gouard missed the beginning of this season because of a transfer eligibility rule relating back to his days at a junior college. I'm not sure of that. You have to check page 9,448 of the NCAA manual to find out the exact particulars. Gouard,
well, he only had 1 semester of eligibility left, that's all it was, and Southern Indiana.
You're not supposed to say that now, because I got people looking up in the manual.
Well, Southern Indiana took the option of
banked hours and
waiting till
obviously
playing in the second semester. There's really no option there.
Yeah.
Here's Listerman good on the front end.
Gouard scoring 16.7 points and 6.3 rebounds. He was last season's NCAA Division II Player of the Year, shooting 57.4% from the field. Also averages 3.4 assists. Bruce Pearl really believes Stan Gouard has a chance to play at the next level because of his versatility and his ability to move with and without the basketball.
NKU by 3 with 45 seconds to go and a whistle away from the play on Southern Indiana.
Actually, I think they're going to call that foul on Jamie Peratt, who just checked into the game for NKU. They're calling up Peratt attempting inside the front. Chad Gilbert got him a little bit with a body there. Gilbert will go to the free throw line.
Larry Eddy checking back in for Southern Indiana. It is really the same situation that Southern Indiana had with Chris Bowles also having 1 semester of eligibility given to him.
Absolutely. Of course, Chris Bowles, a very talented player for the Screaming Eagles a couple of years back.
Gilbert, no good, but a lane violation called on NKU, so he'll get a second chance at it. You can see the bandage over his left eye. Looks somewhat like a boxer. Got it the second time.
And who says basketball is a non-contact sport? We saw the other night Paul Cluxton practically laying on the floor, bleeding profusely from the nose. Clux, of course, wearing the bandage. Of course, we wear that at night to cut down our snoring.
You might. Here's Peratt, dumps to Gibson, and after the pass, Peratt is called for the push.
And Steve, Jamie Peratt, a guy who really has, since his disciplinary suspension, has really kind of struggled to get back in the flow of game. Peratt, a very talented player, an excellent assist man, really probably the best perimeter defender on NKU's team. Has really struggled a little bit to get back in the flow and has really played some limited minutes. And again, another guy tonight that NKU is going to need because Southern Indiana is so deep. NKU is going to have to go to its bench to try to keep pace.
On the line, will shoot 2 free throws.
Hits the first one. Coyle now 4 of 5 at the line here in still the first half as we approach the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and you know, Steve, it would almost be fitting for this game to be tied at the half. I mean, this is obviously another one of those games that's going to go right down to the wire, and in fact, it may be tied. Shot clock is off.
It is tied at 47. As we head up the floor in the person of Shannon Miner, NKU will play for the final shot of the half. Down to 20. Now 15. Now 10. Now 5. And a hold called on Gouard with 4 seconds.
That's really a very touch foul. And that's another thing too, Steve. There's so much disparity between how games are called. Some games are called very, very tight. Others not very tight. And this is a game that's really kind of fluctuated back and forth a little bit. I think in some instances it's been a very tightly officiated game, and others it hasn't been. Stan Gouard, a smile on his face. The second foul on Southern Indiana's All-American forward, the senior forward. 4 seconds left, 47 our score.
Cluxton to shoot a pair. Hits the first. Hits the second. 4 seconds. Southern throws it away. NKU will have the ball back with 4 seconds. Actually, it's down to 3.
Really kind of a strange pass there. A very, very tough pass to expect somebody to catch. And NKU now a chance to widen its lead. It's going to be tough here, but I'm sure they can get off a shot.
Miner looking. Throws it in, ball knocked away. At the buzzer, it comes up short from Larry Eddy. So at halftime, we head to the locker rooms with NKU leading Southern Indiana 49-47. All the homecoming activities are up next.
Purser, and tonight is a very special night at NKU. Tonight is homecoming. We're celebrating 25 years of North athletics here at NKU. It's our 22nd annual homecoming, and of course, everybody knows what homecoming is. Homecoming is an event where all the NKU alumni can come back to the university and try and give back to the institution what they got out of it. Tonight, we will be picking our king and queen for the students, and I will read the representatives for you right now. For the girls, Kathy Blomer, Molly Gleason, Krista Rollins, Lakeia Green, and Casey Wortman. And for King, Vicar Dickerson, Jamie Ramsey, Rick Mann, Daniel Keaton, and Carl Allison. All week, these people have been preparing with student votes, a long essay that they had to write, a 30-minute interview at least, and that's about it. So right now, I'm going to turn you over to Gary Burbank with the homecoming festivities.
With Northern's most celebrated tradition, the 1996 Homecoming Coronation. So, on behalf of the 1996 Homecoming Committee, the Alumni Association, the Activities Programming Board, the Athletics Department, and student activities, we sincerely hope you have enjoyed all of the homecoming festivities that have taken place throughout the week. Pride, honor, tradition, it's a Northern thing, is the 1996 homecoming theme. Now this warm NKU community spirit and Norse pride has been exemplified by the faculty, staff, and students as they donned gold and black spirit ribbons, attired themselves in university letters, and decorated offices and lobbies throughout the campus in black, white, and gold. Now, before we begin the coronation ceremony, we'd like to take this opportunity to welcome the many alumni that are present here tonight. It's great to have each one of you on Northern's campus again. We'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all of our recent Alumni Association Award winners. The recipient of the 1995 Outstanding Alumnus Award is Miss Deborah Williamson. And other award recipients are Michael Berry, Ronald Ellis, James Joseph, Dee Thompson, and Rich Bowen. The faculty recipients of the Strongest Influence Award are Dr. Kathleen Berger and Dr. James Ramage. How about we give them all a warm round of applause? Thank you, you do that well. All of our alumni are invited, by the way, to a coming home dance immediately following tonight's game, and that dance is to be held at the Southgate Community Center. Okay, here we go. Now, earlier in the year, a variety of campus organizations nominated candidates for the homecoming king and queen. Now, these contestants were asked to write an essay on pride, honor, tradition, it's a Northern thing. Please relate through personal experiences they were asked, using examples how this slogan applies to you. Now, from these contestants, the NKU student body selected 5 finalists, and based on a point system for academic excellence, student involvement in essays, and the personal interviews, of course, the royal couple was selected. Now, in just a few minutes, we'll all know who was selected as the 1996 homecoming queen and king. But now, let me introduce the 5, here we go, the 5 king and queen finalists. Next, Miss Molly Gleason. Molly is a junior majoring in elementary education. She was nominated by Delta Zeta Sorority and is the daughter of Tom and Sandy Gleason. And next, Miss LaKay Green. LaKay is a junior political science major nominated by the Black Women's Organization and Residence Hall Association. She's the daughter of William and Linda Green. Thank you, LaKay. And next, Miss Krista Rollins. Krista is a junior majoring in math and secondary education, nominated by the Baptist Student Union, and she's the daughter of Philip and Carla Rollins. Next, Miss Casey Workman. Casey is a senior marketing major, and Casey was nominated by the Pan-Hellenic Council and Delta Gamma Fraternity. She is the daughter of Peggy Bailey and Steve Workman. Okay, now, let me say this. Now, beginning in 1985, the students of NKU expanded the homecoming elections to include the selection of a king. It is now a pleasure to introduce to you the 1996 homecoming king candidates. First, Mr. Carl Allison. Carl is a senior matron in marketing management. Nominated by the Norse Leadership Society, the son of Sandra Allison and Carl Allison Sr., and husband, by the way, Carol Allison. Thank you, Carl. Next, Mr. Victor Dickerson. Victor is a senior theater major, nominated by the Black United Students, Excel and Alpha by Alpha Fraternity. He is the son of Arthur Blackman and Catherine Dickerson Blackman. Thank you. And now, Mr. Daniel Keaton. And boy, Dan is a junior biology major. And Dan was nominated by the presidential ambassadors and is the son of Guy and Donna Keaton. Thank you. Next, Mr. Rick Mann. Rick is a junior major in office systems technology, nominated by Alpha Tau Omega Fraternity and is the son of Barbara Mann and Richard Mann. Thank you, Rick. And finally, Mr. Jamie Ramsey. Jamie is a senior sociology major, and he was nominated by Pan-Hellenic Council and the Student Government Association. And Jamie is the son of Alan Ramsey and Georgia Ramsey. Don't they look nice? Okay, now. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you some special individuals who will assist in the crowning of the King and Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present our 1995 homecoming queen, Miss Rhonda Ciccone. Rhonda is currently employed as a residential sales coordinator at ADT Security. Also, Mrs. Robin Crickler. Mrs. Crickler serves North University as a member of the Board of Regents, and Mrs. Crickler was selected to assist in the coronation by members of the University Homecoming Committee because of her very strong support and involvement with students at Northern. And I am also proud to present to you the president of Northern Kentucky University, Dr. Leon Booth. Dr. Booth continues to be a very strong supporter of the homecoming tradition since his undergraduate days at the University of Missouri, Columbia. Okay. I'm going to need a drum roll here. And now, the moment you have been waiting for. The 1996 Northern Kentucky University Homecoming King is, I said King, Mr. Jamie Ramsey. How about that? In Jamie's essay, the tradition is a unique trait of Northern Kentucky University. It is unique in the fact that it's still being created. Jamie said that Northern students are given the opportunity to participate in its creation, which exemplifies what the institution is about, learning and growing, and that was a terrific way. And in Casey's feelings toward her college experience, in her essay it was summed up, Northern Kentucky University is where I found who I am. It is where I became who I am, and where I found my potential of who I can become. Congratulations. How about another round of applause to each of the winners here tonight? And you, homecoming, Queen and King, the Royal Court, and of course, everyone who helped in building onto the homecoming tradition at NKU. How about it? And now we are ready to root the Norsemen onto another victory. Thank you and good evening.
I'm Tracy Purser, so congratulations, Jamie and Casey. Please stay with us because we'll have more exciting action. We'll have more exciting action for the NKU Southern Indiana ball game right after this.
Back here at halftime, where NKU leads Southern Indiana by a score of 49-47. Taking a look at some point totals from that first half of play. First for NKU, led in scoring by Paul Cluxton and LaRon Moore with 10 points apiece. Kevin Listerman and Shannon Miner chipping in with 8, as well as Andre McClendon with 8. Andy Listerman had 3, Reggie Talbert with 2. Jamie Pratt and John Gibson played in the half and did not score. For Southern Indiana, led in the half by a couple of players, Stan Gouard with 12 and Chad Gilbert with 12. Scott Taylor had 7, Mark Hostetter with 5, Johnny Moore with 5, Neil Coyle scored 4, and Jason Dominic had 2. Playing in the half and not scoring, Joel Thomas and Larry Eddy. The battle of the boards, Tom, being led by Southern Indiana right now, 18-15, and Stan Gouard has 5 of those rebounds.
Yeah, big half of, as usual for Stan Gouard, but really if you're NKU, Steve, I think you really have to be happy with this. A 2-point lead at halftime, really a solid effort from an emotional and just from a physical end, but I really think the big question here is foul trouble. LaRon Moore with 3, Reggie Talbot with 2. NKU can ill afford to lose either of those players for a great length of time in the second half and expect to win the game.
Southern Indiana in the half shot 15 of 26 from the floor for 58%. Southern Indiana shot the basketball 15 of 26 for 57% in the first half. 3 of 7 from the three-point arch and 14 of 18 from the free throw line for 78%. NKU shot 56% in the half, 19 of 34, just 3 of 12 from three-point land for 25%, and 8 of 13 at the stripe for 62%. NKU leads it on the scoreboard by 2, 49-47. Southern Indiana turned it over 12 times. NKU turned it over 7.
Steve, as you predicted, neither one of us won anything at the half.
No, and I knew that that was going to happen. I mean, there was really no surprise to that.
No chance for us?
None. None at all. Oh, maybe you might get one of those alumni awards.
Yeah, I thought I might be able to sneak in with something, but not a chance. I think the first couple minutes are obviously the biggest question for NKU right now. Again, the foul trouble. LaRon Moore starts the half with 3 fouls. Reggie Talbert with 2. And really, if they can get 6 or 7 minutes into the second half without any further foul difficulty for those two, NKU's got a solid shot to win this game. A game that is for second place sole possession and possibly first, depending on Indianapolis and their outcome of their game tonight in the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Hostetter with it. He's on the floor with Gouard, who has the ball now. Dumps it into Gilbert, who's in there as well. Coyle, and also Johnny Moore for Southern Indiana. We're tied at 49. NKU sends out Listerman, Cluxton, Talbert, and Moore. It is Kevin Listerman with the ball. He dumps it to Talbert, who misses the layup, and the rebound's controlled by Southern. Hostetter on the run. Inside, Gilbert reverse layup. No, Cluxton has the rebound. We're still tied at 49.
Excellent drive the last time by Kevin Listerman. A great pass to Reggie Talbert, unable to convert.
Cluxton thinks about the 3. Will shoot from 15. And the rebound's controlled by Moore. Johnny Moore.
Cluxton actually a much better stationary shooter. Might have been better versus taking the 3 there, but a good drive, just unable to get it to fall.
Down low, Gilbert fouled by Moore. No, a jump ball called. The block by LaRon Moore, and the alternating possession belongs to NKU.
Here you see Coach Ken Shields looking down at probably the thousands of notes he's taken headed into this game.
Tonight's attendance, 1849, 1,849, an NKU record. Proud to see this one.
And a very boisterous crowd. Crowd that's enjoying the action.
Here's Listerman, and he is fouled. Bruce Pearl wants the jump ball called, but he will get the foul called on Gouard, his 3rd.
And unquestionably, Steve, this has got to be the best overall game of the year for Kevin Listerman, who's been able to score some points, take very good care of the basketball. Kevin Listerman, just a freshman, and I think some people kind of wondered early in the season, you know, what kind of impact he might be able to have and how much he would play. Bruce Pearl wanting the jump ball basically because the jump ball was called at the other end when it possibly could have appeared that one of his players had been fouled. Kevin Listerman with the first basket. Listerman now with 9 points.
Hit them both. Listerman with 10 now. Here comes Southern Indiana. And a travel will be called on Hostetter.
Pearl's certainly a fun guy to watch. You can almost come to the game and watch Bruce Pearl on the sideline there. You get a chance to see Bruce Pearl down at our end. We get a chance to hear him as well.
Here's Kevin Listerman to Cluxton for 3. Good.
Big time 3. Paul Cluxton, just an excellent stationary 3-point shooter. Really surprised Thursday night Kentucky Wesleyan seemed kind of almost content with allowing Cluxton the open 3s.
Coyle, now Hostetter, Gouard, Gilbert. Across the floor, Hostetter, Moore, Coyle. Driving is Moore, out to Gilbert. He'll try a 3, good.
Match of 3s here. First ball collection for NKU, then Chad Gilbert for Southern Indiana. Gilbert also an excellent shooter when he's left open.
Kevin Listerman looking to inbound it, finally throws it up toward midcourt. Talbert's got it, slips to the floor, picks it up, knocked away. Gouard lobs to Moore, touch pass, knocked away and out of bounds. And who will they give it to? Southern Indiana, and that's the right call. The crowd doesn't agree with it, but it was batted away by one of the NKU players.
Absolutely the right call there, Steve.
So Southern will inbound it. Gilbert will do the honors and pull the trigger on the far side as we look at it, near side to you. Here's Gilbert, Coyle, and a foul on Cluxton.
Hope it's on Cluxton for NKU's sake. They did get Paul Cluxton with the foul. Reggie Talbert also involved in the play, but not whistled for the foul. Cluxton, that is his 2nd foul.
NKU leads by 2, but Coyle's going to go to the line and have a chance to tie this ball game.
There you had a chance to see NKU coach Ken Shields yelling instructions to his team.
Scott Taylor checks in. Coyle, the second attempt. Got that one. We're tied at 54, 17-17 to go. Cluxton now. To Talbert, back to Cluxton. He's left alone. Inside Talbert. Bad pass, and it's picked off by Southern.
You're right. Very bad pass, very tough pass right there.
Here's Gouard and a blocking foul on Andy Listerman.
16:53 remaining here in this Great Lakes Valley Conference game. 54-54. A game that's almost assuredly you want to make sure you watch until you see 3 zeros on the scoreboard, because this one will undoubtedly go down to the wire. And, you know, Southern Indiana likes the situation right now because of its depth.
Hostetter for Southern Indiana, still tied at 54. Coyle. Rebound, Cluxton.
Cluxton giving NKU good work on the boards tonight.
Kevin Listerman, guarded by Gouard. Off to McClendon. Kicks it to Cluxton for 3. Good! His 4th 3 of the night. He has 16.
Good recognition there by Andre McClendon, who really got airborne and really wasn't able to get off a shot, so he thought better of it and kicked it out to Cluxton, who nailed the 3.
Gilbert, Gouard, Coyle. Hostetter, Coyle. Coyle guarded tightly by Kevin Listerman. Coyle going to the bucket, and a foul. A blocking foul on Kevin Listerman.
22, Kevin Listerman,
It's his 3rd foul, and Shannon Miner will check in for NKU, and Joel Thomas will check in for Southern Indiana.
Steve, certainly no surprise that it's such a physical game. I think every time these two teams meet, there's definitely physical play. Tonight, of course, no exception. Neil Coyle at the line.
Coyle to shoot a pair. Coyle, all his points have come at the free throw line tonight. He had 4 in the half. He hit 2 out of 2 earlier, and now he goes 1 for 2 at the stripe. So 7 points. He is 7 for 10 at the stripe tonight. 57-55, Northern by a pair. Miner. Gouard guards him. Now Andy Listerman. And a foul. It will be on Thomas. Thomas has played about 4 minutes tonight and has 3 fouls.
Compliments go out right there to Steve Blake. Getting rid of our dryness here. Bringing us a beverage. Steve Blake, of course, I want to get this right now, the executive director of the NKU Athletics Club, is that correct? Of course, the fundraising organization for NKU that offers support for all the Norse athletics program.
Miner will put the ball in play. Comes into Moore. Inside, here's McClendon, and a foul. Pushing foul is going to be called against Southern Indiana.
Yeah, they're going to call that more of a body foul than actually an attempted block on the shot taken there by Andre McClendon. NKU maintaining its 2-point advantage, 57-55, 15-26 remaining here in this game. Both teams trying to stay right at the top. The GOVC Indianapolis leads the league 9-2. Southern Indiana 8-2 coming in. NKU 9-3, a half game behind the Greyhounds, who also are in action tonight. playing up in Indianapolis. A great job done by Greyhounds coach Royce Waltman, whose team is definitely in the running, although they probably have the toughest schedule of the three, with a lot of tough road games remaining.
NKU by 4 as we near the 15-minute mark. Thomas across the floor, Hostetter inside, backing his way in. Taylor spinning, no. Listerman with the rebound. Cluxton, Minor. Crowd wanting a bumping foul on Gouard. Here's Minor, wheeling, dealing, no. Gouard has the rebound, and that's a foul on Gouard. His 4th on Gouard. Pearl is livid on the bench.
Yeah, and you know, really, isn't it amazing? You know, the difference of referees and what they'll allow. Southern Indiana, Bruce Pearl going to take, I think he only wants a 20-second timeout. He wants a 20-second timeout. He's going to get it. But you know, Steve, you look at the first game, and again, we don't know what was said. But it's amazing the disparity between coaches. Let's go over to Tracy Person.
I'm here with Casey Wortman, the Queen winner. Casey, first of all, I want to say congratulations. And tell me a little bit of what you went through to get to this.
Thank you. Well, for the past 5 years, I've been very involved in various campus organizations, and I was nominated by 2, and then I went through, I completed an application and wrote an essay and went through interviews, and then...
All right, thank you very much, Casey. Back to you, Stephen Tom.
Back to it, NKU with the ball, leading by 4, 14 and a half to play. Here's Moore, down the lane, got it.
Boy, excellent move there by LaRon Moore. Bruce Pearl, what he was upset about, Steve, was he really thought that Andre McClendon, underneath the basket there, kind of threw an elbow that wasn't called. Jason Dominic with a nice move inside.
Dominic has 4. NKU's lead is 4. Moore has it picked off by Hostetter. Nice save. Johnny Moore has it top of the key to the free throw line. Johnny Moore with 4.
Nice fake move there by Johnny Moore. Again, a transfer from Eastern Illinois. NKU struggling to get it in bounds.
It's a 2-point game. Listerman dribbles through the pressure. Now Cluxton. Minor. Fouled by Dominic.
Really, we haven't talked much about it, Steve, but Stan Gouard, the 4th foul. 14, just under 14 minutes remaining. Certainly Gouard, the premier player, the guy who can carry this club on the sidelines, probably will have to be on the bench for a good 5 or 6 more minutes before, really a couple of Gouard's fouls have kind of been touch fouls. Really kind of fouls that Stan Gouard, a very intelligent player on the floor, normally won't commit.
Oh, he was called for that offensive one that infuriated Bruce Pearl a few moments ago. And then he was called with 4 seconds left in the first half for a kind of a touch foul hold.
NKU coach Ken Shields working, getting Reggie Talbert back in to make sure that LaRon Moore doesn't pick up the 4th foul. He's gone 6+ minutes without picking up that foul. And Andy Listerman checks in for brother Kevin Listerman, who both have played a very excellent game tonight. In particular, Kevin Listerman, and for such a big game and such an inexperienced guy, has really played well tonight.
Minor at the stripe. It's his 9th point. Tries to extend the NKU lead to 4. And does.
Shannon Minor, an excellent free throw shooter, as is Paul Cluxton, who leads the nation.
Gilbert. Dominic. Larry Eddy now. Shot clock down to 15. Shot clock down to 10. Eddie wants to take minor, but a blocking foul will be called on the floor before the shot.
So definite touch fouls being called here.
Well, he signaled that on number 14, who is not on the floor. So it's on Minor, who wears number 12, his first. Gilbert inbounds it. Dominic now to Gilbert in the corner. Eddie works the basketball to Taylor. Eddie has it back. Gilbert. Eddie once again. Gilbert one more time. Taylor. A rebound foul.
It'll be called on Chad Gilbert, I think, for going over the back of Andre McClendon.
His second. 12:49 to go. NKU by 4. With the ball. Kevin Listerman in.
Southern Indiana's pressure, very intense in the backcourt here. Could give NKU some problems.
Here's Kevin Listerman.
Then again, maybe not.
Now Minor. Andy Listerman launches. Good.
That's the risk of putting such pressure on as the open three-pointer.
Taylor tries one at Gilbert with a follow, and they're going to wave it off in the cylinder.
Athletic play there by Chad Gilbert, but I don't think there's any question the ball had a chance to come back down inside the cylinder. But, you know, you risk that, Steve, when you put the full court pressure and you have a three-point shooting team like NKU, you risk if the pressure's beaten.
A foul on Johnny Moore.
You really risk the open three-pointer, and Andy Listerman, who's really coming into his own as a long-range shooter. NKU now holding a 7-point advantage, 66-59, 12 and a half minutes remaining.
That is the 7th foul on Southern Indiana. So for the final 12, count them, 12 and a half minutes, NKU will be in the bonus.
This is definitely a lengthy evening.
We will be in the double bonus by the time we get to the midpoint of the second half. That is my prediction.
And I think that's a pretty accurate prediction.
A ball game that was somewhat late starting, and with the homecoming festivities,
it's going to be somewhat late finishing. Of course, we don't mind.
No.
I mean, what else do we really have to do but, you know, go home and sit on the couch? Where I'll probably be Monday as well, Tuesday.
Well, with the job like you have.
Now, you know. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to take in a couple of good basketball games. Xavier playing #1 UMass over the Gardens, and then head over to see UC play South Florida. So I won't be on the couch.
NKU up 68-59. Gilbert. Now it's Eddie down the lane, and a blocking foul on Minor.
Well, I tell you, this game is just filled with fouls. We may have Bruce Pearl in a one-on-one game with Ken Shields by the time this one's over. I don't think I'd want to see that, frankly. Kenny in a defensive stance is a scary thought. Pearl might have a decided advantage in all aspects here. Quickness, size, height, I guess I should say.
Gilbert, good.
Kenny could probably work him a little and out-muscle him under the board. Southern Indiana just won't go away. NKU really struggling to get it in bounds.
McClendon tracks it down. Now Listerman. Knocked out of bounds by Eddie.
Looked like a foul there, frankly, on Kevin Listerman. Not on Kevin Listerman. Looked like Listerman was fouled.
Andy Listerman now. I'd agree. So would the NKU bench.
Yeah. Ken Shields up and working a little bit.
Cluxton left alone from 19. Two-pointer. Cluxton now with 18. NKU leading by 8. Hostetter to Coyle. A travel.
You know, and again, I mean, it's amazing. Referees are unbelievable. In the first game, we'll talk about this after the break. 70-62, NKU the lead.
announced by Tennessee.
Regents Hall. Thank you.
70-62, NKU by 8. 11 and a half minutes to go.
And Steve, before I get to the statistics, you know, that's unbelievable. I mean, Bruce Pearl, pretty much very animated guy on the sidelines. Officials know that. All night long, he's been riding the officials. Right there, he goes about 6 feet onto the court. Isn't there something called a coach's box? I mean, at what point do you draw a technical foul? Then in the first game, the Southern Indiana women's coach draws back-to-back technicals. Apparently, she must have said something deserving of that, but how about some consistency from the officials?
Listerman looking to inbound it, finally comes into his brother, who is fouled.
Take a quick look here, Steve, at the stats. Southern Indiana shooting 56% from the field, 20 of 36, 5 of 10 from three-point range, 17 of 22 from the free throw line, but trailing by 8. NKU shooting 57%, 24 of 42, 6 of 15 from three-point range, 16 of 21 the free throw line, deadlocked at 21-21 in the rebounding department. Turnover, Southern Indiana's committed 15, NKU 11. Again, Kevin Listerman, 12 points, 3 assists, no turnovers, and 2 steals.
Andy Listerman good on the front end of the 1-and-1, so he will receive the privilege of shooting the second. It is up, it is good. NKU by 10, might be its largest lead of the night, Tom.
Yes, it is, Steve. But you know what? A 10-point lead against Southern Indiana isn't much, but this is NKU, a great effort tonight by NKU. Stan Gouard, 4 fouls back into the game. That's how critical Bruce Pearl feels this part of the game is, to put his best player back on the floor with 4 fouls.
Coyle knocked away. Listerman up with the ball. Andy Listerman to Kevin Listerman. I think they're in defense 15, Tom.
I think they are too, Steve. I don't really know what that means. So far, it hasn't meant much, as NKU has 72 points.
Well, as long as they play 15, NKU's not going to attack the basket. Cluxton for 3. That's one way to attack defense 15.
A great way to beat 15. NKU right now really playing well. Paul Cluxton now with 21, game high 21.
Gilbert answers.
Excellent range from Chad Gilbert, and that just, you know, just when you think NKU might be about ready to really pull away, and there's a smart move by Kevin Listerman calling a 20-second timeout, unable to inbound the ball. Southern Indiana's pressure has given NKU some problems, and right now, we're going to head over to Tracy Purser, who's got tonight's king.
I'm here with Jamie Ramsey. Congratulations, Jamie, on becoming king. I want to ask you a question. What exactly, not exactly, but in general, what did you say in your essay to make that you think that helped you along with it?
I just talked about how much I really love Northern. It wasn't really where I wanted to go when I first was going to go to college, but it's made me grow up, and
Perfect, very much. Thank you very much, Jamie. Congratulations, and congratulations on graduating.
Thank
Back
you.
to you, Stephen Tom.
75-65, NKU by 10 with the ball after the 20-second timeout. Cluxton has it knocked out of bounds and off of LaRon Moore, so Southern Indiana ball.
Seems like every game, Steve, we're almost knocked over. And I'll tell you what, we've got a few drinks around us here. If this table gets hit, we're going to be a mess.
Gilbert. Taylor saves it in. Kevin Listerman there. Lob for Moore. And he will be called for a travel, which is too bad. No, a foul. Oh, my.
They're gonna call a foul. And, you know, actually, with that first foul not called, Stan Gouard might have been able to pick up his 5th foul.
Unbelievably, Moore got that shot to go, but it was for naught.
You know, I'm going to make a prediction here. I think it's a good chance we're going to see a technical foul tonight before it's all said and done. What do you think?
Probably.
Although I don't know, Bruce Pearl, a very smart coach. Probably at this point of the game, very ill-advised to pick one up when you're down 10. LaRon Moore here with a chance to extend the lead. Hits the first.
Moore kind of quiet here in the second half. That's his third point of the half. He has 13 in the game. He has spent some time on the bench tonight with 3 personal fouls. NKU now up 12. Gilbert to Gouard to Gilbert. And now Hostetter for a 3, too strong. Listerman with the rebound. Cluxton, Moore. Pull up 10-footer, no. Rebound Taylor. Hostetter quickly. Bounce past Gilbert, blocked by Moore, but a foul called on whom?
Called, I think, on Andre McClendon. A clean block right there by LaRon Moore from behind, but I think they're going to call the blocking foul on Andre McClendon.
That'll be the third on McClendon. So at the line will be Gilbert. He has 23 points, including 3 for 3 at the stripe tonight, and 4 3-pointers. I will say this, Tom, as excited as the crowd was early, it has become somewhat subdued in the second half.
Yeah, you're right, Steve. Maybe the festivities, you know.
Our second lane violation of the night called on NKU.
You're right,
the beneficiary of the first one, Chad Gilbert, missed, but would connect it on his second chance at a second free throw. Yogi Berra would say it is deja vu all over again.
Getting late, isn't it, Chief? This is well past the time.
My bedtime.
Normally, and this is a tough situation. NKU fortunate, really. The backcourt pressure of Southern Indiana has given NKU some problems here in the second half.
NKU leads by 10. We got 9.5 to play. Minor. Pass taken away by Hostetter. Lead out to Gouard. Layup good.
Great athletic ability there by Stan Gouard. Able to come up with the pass. And I'll tell you, Steve, NKU is really going to have to find a way to solve this backcourt pressure.
Cluxton is fouled by Taylor, his second.
Bruce Pearl upset with Taylor right there. There you see NKU coach Kent Shields, but really right there.
That is the 10th double bonus in effect now. I was within 49 seconds of that one.
Yeah, and I think the moral of that story is settle back into your chair. It's going to be a while. Paul Cluxton will shoot.
Paul Cluxton will shoot 2.
Cluxton's first, right down the pipe. Is this one for the record?
Yes, it is. It's to set a school record.
He's 3 for 3 tonight. Free
Paul
throw.
Cluxton has now connected on 37 consecutive free throws. Only missed one time this year in 51 attempts, Paul Cluxton.
Dominic, Hostetter, Gilbert, Gouard, Taylor with 13 on the shot clock. Gilbert got it to go. (79-71) NKU. Listerman to the bucket and a block. Count it.
Excellent play right there. The Listerman brothers playing some good basketball, Steve. And I'll tell you, I think some people kind of question, a little bit, 9th region players who have played here at NKU have really not done much, really not enjoyed too much success. I think the most heralded 9th region player ever coming out of high school was Darren Blassingame back in the Mike Beitzler era. Had a nice career at NKU, but I tell you, the Listerman brothers have really played a large part in last Andy Listerman coming off the bench last year and so far this year too.
82-71. Hostetter. Now Gouard for three. Good. 8 minutes. Here's Andy Listerman. Talbert's going strong. Can't get it. Gilbert knocks it off at Talbert. It'll be Southern Indiana's ball. Kevin Listerman into the lineup. Andre McClendon in as well for NKU. $82-74. You see it. NKU leads. Just a smidgen under 8 minutes to play.
You had to get it in sooner or later.
You knew it. Coyle and a travel. Joel Thomas checks in. McClendon in the backcourt to Minor.
That was kind of a funny exchange right there for the official. And I have a feeling Bruce Pearl is probably not going to be too happy with the officiating after the ball game. He certainly isn't right now.
Moore. What about that?
Well, just great athletic ability. LaRon Moore recognizing the chance to go all the way and doing it right there. LaRon Moore, a fine offensive game for NKU, which continues to maintain its 10-point advantage.
Taylor, now Thomas. Inside Hostetter. Gouard. To the top. Here's a three from Hostetter. It's no good. Rebound Moore.
And one thing kind of going unnoticed here, Kevin Listerman doing a fine job defensively. Despite the size disadvantage, really playing good, solid defense on Stan Gouard.
Gouard has 17, right at his average, with 6:45, and now the crowd back into the game. Minor down the lane, leaning in, followed by Moore.
And NKU now up 14.
Point him in the right direction. Taylor lost the handle, knocked out of there by Listerman. Point Moore in the right direction and he'll find the ball all the time, won't he?
He sure will. Fans gonna come alive here. Bruce Pearl.
Stolen by Listerman, and let's see if they give him the timeout. No, they'll
didn't give
say
him the
he was out
timeout.
of
Boy,
bounds.
what a presence of mind right there by Kevin Listerman. Again, the game he has played tonight, Steve, has been very, very impressive.
Gilbert will try it again. And Moore picks it off.
Great defense there by LaRon Moore. NKU now looking to run a little clock as well as take good looks at the basket and get good shots.
Shot clock at 15. Here's Moore. He's fouled. It's going to be Johnny Moore called for the reach, his third.
And unquestionably, there will be a few fouls between now and the end of this game, which could end right in time for the late show.
Well, you know, UC played at midnight last night. Might still be playing at midnight tonight.
That's exactly right, except this game started before 8 o'clock.
Moore will shoot a pair, as NKU has done since the 9-11 mark of this half. He misses the first one. Second one. We have a timeout. NKU leads 87-74. Back with the final 5:54 after this.
Welcome back to Regents Hall, where NKU is on the verge of avenging a bludgeoning at the hands of Southern Indiana earlier this year. The Norse right now a 13-point lead, 87-74, a smidgen under 6, and for the final 6, back to the legendary voice of NKU basketball, Steve Henson.
Here's a pass knocked away by Kevin Listerman and out of bounds. Southern Indiana will inbound it. Gilbert will do it right in front of us.
This scene, I want to see if we can get elevated a little bit. It's dangerous down here now.
Eddie with the ball. And a foul on LaRon Moore. That'll be his 4th.
And the 4th foul on LaRon Moore, Steve, but really a great job by both Moore and Ken Shields. Shields maneuvering him in and out of the game, keeping him from picking up that 4th foul early. And here comes Reggie Talbert. He doesn't want to lose him yet. But also a good job by LaRon Moore of avoiding the silly foul. You mentioned that foul on Stan Gerard right before the half, really kind of a touch foul. And there's absolutely no reason to be in any position to have a foul call when there's 4 seconds left in a half.
Rebound Coyle, and he is fouled by Talbert.
Speaking of silly foul, there's really frankly one there, a pretty, you're better off a turnaround shot attempted right there by Neil Coyle. I think you're better off just letting him shoot the ball. But Talbot, the aggressive shot blocker, when you play with that kind of enthusiasm, it's hard to just kind of step back.
No good on the first one from Coyle.
Southern Indiana really struggling in the second half. The last couple of minutes of shooting. Paul Cluxton checks back in for Andy Listerman. NKU guys must go to the same barber. Got a lot of that. I think you've been to that, close to that same guy.
No.
Of course, when you're in my state, you really don't have to go to the barber.
Yeah, I didn't hear you say before the show tonight, is my hair in place? It was appropriate that you left that in the singular.
Yeah, and believe me, you so aptly pointed that out to me as well. You know, it's one of those deals for me when I go to get my haircut where they talk to me for 25 minutes just to make me feel like I'm getting my money's worth.
You get a discount?
Unfortunately not, believe it or not.
Here's Miner from way out. No. And a foul.
Going to call it, I think, on Paul Cluxton. And, you know, really, that's a shot right there, frankly, Steve. It's really kind of ill-advised. I mean, it's a long three-point shot. Granted, Shannon Miner has the range, but with a 12-point advantage.
They're showing your hair.
See the gleam?
Yeah.
You know, and the funny thing is, if I let it go too long, you look like Bozo the Clown. To see it grows, it really comes in on the side, but on top, it's tough. I want to thank the production crew for showing my beaming head. You know, these lights do wonders for it as well. They are camera lights, of course. This is a really critical period right here, Steve, because Southern Indiana now cuts the lead to 11, 87-76, but really a chance, you want to work first to get the lead back into single digits. I should say the deficit back into single digits, and then work from there. So that's what Southern Indiana will try to do here, and they cut it to 10, 87-77, 5:09 remaining.
Coyle has 10 points tonight, all from the free throw line. We reach the final 5 minutes. Ball is loose, and a jump ball call. Southern Indiana basketball. Gouard will come back in for the final 5. Or at least a portion thereof with 4 fouls. NKU leads by 10.
Taking a timeout here.
Timeout on the floor. NKU up 87-77 with exactly 5:01 to play.
Minute or two here as we finish up this game. We want to make sure we give a mention, a special thanks to all the people who've made these 3 doubleheader telecasts possible. Right there, Chad Gilbert taking the pass inside. Going in for the layup, and Southern Indiana now has indeed cut that deficit inside of 10 points.
Gilbert with a steal. Gilbert with a drive. Gilbert with a bucket. It's a 6-point game.
Boy, very risky pass there.
I'm sure we'll get a break here in a minute for some free throws, and we'll run through that list. Here's Moore, and he's fouled. Thank you.
Speaking of that, I want to give out a special thanks to all the following people. Again, 3 telecasts we've been able to bring you this year. The Bellarmine doubleheader, Kentucky Wesleyan, and today's game with Southern Indiana. Thanks again to our director and producer, Jim Revel. Technical director, Heather Scotty. Camera work being provided by Shalom Bentley, Brad Combs, Derek Hughes, Daniel Frazier, Ron Songer, and Bill Farrow sitting right alongside us here and keeping us in line, as you mentioned, Steve. Our floor director, Rusty Cole, also floor director Jason Huber working over there with Tracy Purser in the truck. Jeff Tetrick dealing with the tapes, graphics, and audio. Chris Marksberry. Tracy Purser doing a great job as our sideline reporter. Executive producer is Mike Mims, the associate producer, Steve Blake. And we're back to action here, and I'll continue in a little bit.
Down the lane, laying it up, no good, but a follow attempt from Gouard. Now a shot and a foul.
Foul's going to be called there. Johnny Moore picking up the loose ball and a rebound.
Foul on McClendon.
That's only his 2nd foul.
It's his 4th, Tom.
4th foul, sorry, Steve. See, they did that thing where they flash up to 2 and then they change it to 4. And I definitely want to thank Don Owen, the sports information director here, for giving us all of our pertinent information prior to the game. Don does an excellent job as SID here. Also keeping us, Lori Miller and also Tom Big Continent Embry for bringing us the updated stats. The athletic director, of course, of NKU is Jane Meyer.
Hit the first, missed the second.
And let the foul fest begin. And they're going to call an offensive foul. Ken Shields is going to take another timeout here. Very strange call. They're going to call Shannon Miner for hooking to try to get around the defender there. 89-82 the score. 4 minutes, 7 seconds remaining. We'll be right back for the end of this one.
Two, 4:07 to go.
And Steve, we talked about it earlier, but you know, even when they had the 12 and 14-point leads just aren't safe with Southern Indiana.
It'll be Southern Indiana's ball. Trailing by 7. Gilbert into the corner, goes to Eddie. Eddie spinning, shooting, good.
Once again,
that's the first points of the night for Eddie. Cluxton left alone. Inside McClendon.
Excellent move inside by Andre McClendon. A big basket right there. Lead back to 7.
3.5 to play, and a foul on McClendon. That's going to be his 5th.
Yeah, but a very wise move right there by Andre McClendon, who has a tendency to question the calls occasionally. A solid game tonight for McClendon off the bench, as usual. 12 points. He had 8 in the first half, chipping in with 4 in the second half. So Andre McClendon just under his season average and really giving NKU the kind of bench scoring it needs.
It'll be Gilbert at the free throw line. He has 31 tonight.
Make it 32. Jed Gilbert, an excellent player, a fine scorer.
Looking to cut the NKU lead to 5. And does. Moore double teamed. Now it's stolen by Eddie, but he couldn't hold on to it. NKU will have to try to inbound it again. Inbounds to Cluxton. Southern content to drop off the press somewhat after the ball gets in play. $20 on the shot clock. $10 on the shot clock. Minor to Listerman.
Worked to perfection right there, Steve. Shannon Minor taking the shot clock down, working it inside, getting a great dish off to Andy Listerman.
Gouard, look out, and a foul.
Dan Gouard right there made up his mind. Took the ball to the basket. Gouard, an excellent leaper as well. Gouard's a very versatile player, Steve, and if he doesn't get a chance to play at the next level, certainly will have a chance to play overseas. Unquestionably, that's where Chris Bowles is, in fact, the former Southern Indiana center. Gouard, an excellent athlete. You saw a little bit of his athletic ability right there.
Gouard shooting a pair. Short arms the first one.
And that's a big miss right there. A 7-point advantage right now for NKU. Every shot, every free throw, every possession extremely critical right now for Southern Indiana.
It's the second, it's a 6-point NKU lead. 2:46 to go. Cluxton, double team. Up to Listerman in midcourt. And NKU will slow it. Till Cluxton fires, good.
There's your slow it, Steve. It's amazing, isn't it? Most guys would shy away from that, not Paul Cluxton.
Cluxton has 26, including 6 3-pointers. And Minor called for a hold. That is the 4th on Minor.
Yeah, Steve, you really don't want to foul there. Shannon Minor kind of just getting caught in the middle there. Really, of course, want to try to avoid any fouls at this point in the game if you're NKU. Holding a 9-point advantage. NKU, a very impressive performance tonight, Steve. I think a lot of people thought that Southern Indiana might be the school to end the 25-game home court winning streak. Right now, anyway, and there's still plenty of time left. But right now, anyway, NKU looks like it could be on the verge of win number 26 in a row here at Regents Hall. And of course, it doesn't get any easier from here.
Over the back is LaRon Moore. That is his 5th.
GOVC leader Indianapolis will be coming to Highland Heights next Thursday.
LaRon Moore fouls out with 21 points. Started a little slow in the second half, but ended up with 11 in the half and 21 for the game.
Yeah, another just a solid effort. LaRon Moore, one thing about LaRon Moore in his 3 seasons here at NKU, a very consistent player. Very rarely is he held, to 4, 5, 6 points, something of that nature. Boy, when he does, when he comes back the next game, he makes the next opponent pay for it. At the line, Neal, Coyle, everybody will shoot 2 for the rest of the game. First one is good. Coyle with a chance to cut it to 6, which of course is just a 2-possession game.
Got a timeout. 96-89. NKU leads, 2:23 to go.
you get a look briefly at just an exuberant NKU fan about to jump out of his seat and leap onto the court there.
Second one from Coyle is good. He has made a career at the free throw line tonight. 18 free throw attempts. Listerman triple teamed and fouled. Coyle on the night, Tom, is 13 of 18 at the free throw line. He's in double figures and has not hit a field goal.
Yeah, well, taking advantage here, you see Bruce Pearl wanting the jump ball, not getting it. Welcome to life on the road.
Listerman for a pair. Misses the first. He has 12. Trying to extend NKU's lead to 7, and does. Gouard wants to go alone. Now Edie. Gouard from downtown, good. It's a 4-point game, under 2 to play, and Minor calls a timeout. Minute 54 to go, NKU by 4. (97-93), NKU by 4, minute 54 to go. NKU down to its final timeout after that one. Southern Indiana has 4. Minor, trouble, and a foul.
One reason why they have so much trouble inbounding the ball is the size of Chad Gilbert on the person taking the ball out of bounds. Gilbert 6'8", guarding Shannon Minor. Listed, I emphasize listed at 5'11". Steve, again, the final 153 here. Southern Indiana has 4 timeouts remaining and probably about 14 fouls remaining as well.
Cluxton, good on a free throw. Cluxton hit them both. He has 28. Pass inside, layup good by Neil Coyle. That's his first field goal of the night.
And I'll tell you, that's really a smart play right there, because you don't want to get caught in a game where all you do is attempt 3-pointers. You take the easy 2, and there's plenty of time.
NKU by 4, minute and a half to go. Cluxton, shot clock at 20. And NKU can take it down to about a minute.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl yelling no fouls, and there really is, as you can see right there, no reason to foul.
Coyle with the rebound. Hostetter. Eddie. Eddie down the lane. Good.
Wow, big time basket right there by Larry Eddie. Close to a double dribble.
Minor has to take a timeout. Bruce Pearl wants time back on the clock. 99-97, NKU by 2.
Back in Regents Hall, and we told you it'd go down to the wire, and it's going down to the wire. 99-97, NKU. A 2-point advantage right now, 52 seconds remaining. NKU now out of timeouts. Southern Indiana still has a plethora with 4, both teams in the double bonus.
Here's Cluxton, and he's fouled. Tom, a year ago, these two teams played in this building, and NKU won at 101-97 on the block and dunk by Talbert that we spoke of earlier.
And frankly there, Steve, I really don't understand why you would foul Paul Cluxton. Cluxton, of course, again, the leading free throw shooter in the country. I don't understand that, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it.
Cluxton to the line to shoot a pair, trying to make this game a 101-97, and he misses.
Well, maybe that's why you foul Paul Cluxton. The streak of consecutive free throws. He did set the all-time school record, but it comes to an end.
And starts a new streak. 100-97. It's a 3-point game. Eddie. Now Coyle. Now Hostetter. Now Eddie. Now Gerard. It's short. Rebound Talbert. Listerman has it. There is a 2-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Listerman to Listerman, and he's fouled by Coyle. The crowd on its feet.
Hard foul there, but certainly nothing intentional. Just trying to make sure they commit the foul in a timely manner. Time is of the essence right now. 197, 22 seconds remaining, and really 2 free throws here. Still maybe a 2-possession game. This is critical. Obviously, if only...
Listerman with 13 in the game is to the stripe to shoot a pair. 22 seconds, shot clock out of it. Got the first one. 4-point NKU lead. Got them both.
2 big free throws right there.
The NKU players exhorting the fans to come to their feet. 18 seconds. Coyle. Gilbert. Good. Timeout.
Boy, I'll tell you what, again, never over. 102-100, 12 seconds left. We'll be back with that.
Could you pass?
$102-100 with 12 seconds.
And obviously a very simple plan of attack here for Southern Indiana. Foul immediately.
But first a timeout. They had 4, they're down to 2. 12 ticks of the clock left in this one. We'll take a break. Teams back out on the floor, 102-100. NKU by a deuce, 12 seconds. The inbounds play is crucial. NKU doesn't have any timeouts. Here's Minor, double teamed and in trouble. And off at Gilbert and out of bounds. That wasted some time. 8 seconds to go.
And actually, Bruce Pearl wanted to travel there, and I'm not so sure he did travel.
NKU will inbound it again. Minor. 5 count.
Wow.
Southern Indiana ball.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Southern Indiana takes a timeout. 8 seconds to go. It'll be Eagle ball when we
program.
Southern Indiana basketball after the 5 count. So the Eagles will inbound it under its own goal with 8 seconds. And now another timeout.
But the good news, that's the final timeout.
For anybody, unless we play extras.
Quiet. Don't even suggest that.
102 to 100.
And almost an identical score, frankly, right now, what we had the last time
Well,
these two
you
teams met in this building.
101-97 was that one.
And we talked about the century mark. Both teams have now reached that. What do you do here, Steve? Do you go for the three-pointer and the victory on the road, or do you try to take it inside?
I think you look inside first, and if it's there on the inbounds play, you take it, you know, because the clock's not going to start running until the ball's put into play. So time really, except for the 5 count, is not as crucial as if they had to bring the ball down the floor. I guess you look inside. If something opens up, you take the short shot. If not, maybe then you look to kick it outside that arch and go for the win.
Of course, you've also got the opportunity as well, Steve, to really go for the three-point shot quickly and maybe get a loose ball off the rebound. But a lot of schools have thought Chad Gilbert will inbound. Gilbert has 36 points tonight for Southern Indiana.
Gilbert to inbound it. Lob to Gouard. Gouard with 4. Gilbert will try the 3. Good! With 1 second. NKU without a timeout. Listerman from half court. No. Southern Indiana wins it. 103 to 102. Gilbert with 39 points hits the winner. We're back with our post-game shows after this. A 25-game home winning streak comes to a close tonight here in Regents Hall for NKU. On a 3-pointer by Chad Gilbert with just 1 second left to go. Gilbert finishes the night with 39 points, Tom. Stan Gouard had 21, Neil Coyle was 17, Hostetter 5, Eddie 5, Moore 4, Taylor 7, and Dominic with 4. For NKU tonight, led by Paul Cluxton with 29, LaRon Moore 21, Andy Listerman with 15, his brother Kevin had 13, Shannon Minor with 10, and Reggie Talbert with 2.
Now, Steve, certainly no surprise that Chad Gilbert, as you mentioned, with 39 points, gets the opportunity there at the end. Great range. Gilbert, a transfer from Indiana State University, a big part of the Screaming Eagles national championship last year. And Steve, quite frankly, that's why this team is able to win big games. And the experience showed tonight in the end, setting up that play. With 1 second left, Chad Gilbert's 3-pointer, and we told you it wouldn't be over until it was over, and it wasn't. And we'll be back right after this.
Back in Regents, Ken Shields with us now, and Kenny, it comes down to a last-second shot by Chad Gilbert. You know, anytime in the GLBC, the ball games come down to that final tick of the clock, and we see it again tonight.
Well, you know, he was the preseason Dick Vitale All-American, and he stepped up and made a big shot. But you know, when push came to shove, in the last 16 possessions that they had, we only stopped them one time. And it's pretty hard to win when you only stop a team one time. You know, we contributed to our own demise in a way against a great basketball team, and it was very, very unfortunate. They made the big play, but, you know, I just know we have to come back. That's all there is to it.
Ken, despite the loss, Kevin Listerman, I think, really a freshman for you, really hadn't played a great deal up to this point. He's been in the starting lineup, but really tonight really seemed to really maybe turn the corner a little bit, really played a great floor game.
I really thought he played a very, very good floor game. He played with a tremendous heart, stepped up and did a lot of good things for us here tonight. I think, you know, what we're seeing is both Kevin and Andy are getting a lot of maturation as we go here. Needless to say, they're not where they need to be. It really hurt us when we lost LaRon and Andre to foul problems. It hurt us a whole lot when that took place. But I give them credit. They stuck with it. They hung in there. They made the big play at the big time, and we just have to find a way to get back here next Thursday.
You mentioned it, no rest for the weary Indianapolis. The team that was virtually tied with Southern Indiana for first place in the league is here Thursday night.
Yeah, they come in Thursday night, and we know this is the best team that Indianapolis has had. They beat us at their place somewhat convincingly. They had a big win over Southern Indiana just a couple nights ago, and it's going to be a very important conference game, a very important regional ball game as far as Thursday night is concerned.
All right, Kenny, thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.
Back to wrap it up in a minute. NKU drops a pair of GLBC games in this building tonight. Tracy, the first one saw Nancy Winstall's club fight down to the end, but lose by 10.
Yeah, 92-82. It was a tough game. Like you said, a fight down to the end, but heartbreaker, they couldn't pull it out in the end.
Tom, it comes down to a final shot for Ken Shields' ball club. Chad Gilbert hits a three. It's the defending national champs, and a 25-game winning streak in this building comes to a close.
Yeah, and Steve, you said it right there, the defending national champs. I mean, frankly, that's what it came down to. And that's why this team, again, I really believe is going to be a major contender for the national title.
I want to thank you for joining us. For Tom Gable, Tracy Purser, and our entire crew, I'm Steve Hensley. So long, everybody.